Hey guys, welcome in. You might have seen my video on the Rode Wireless Pro and how I use it for live sessions. And if you want to check that out, I'll just pop a link up here. I'm just going to do a quick video on how I mix my live sessions and how I make the audio from those little devices actually sound good. A few people have asked me that. When you're recording with the lav mics, the audio can come through a bit flat and sound a bit muffled or dull. So I'm going to run through an example today of a project that I've done. And so this is one I actually did quite recently. This is a project for Mark Wilkinson. So I'll get up the video. That's me. Just quickly, so you can see my mouse is here. I've got the belt pack on my jeans there, and that's, I can't remember if that's the guitar or the lav. Either way, I've got two on me. And one mic is here in my guitar, and the other mic is actually just there on my neck. You can just see it, just that little glint there.
Lean on the walls till they break.
And so that was a pretty good live session, this one. The cicadas were incredibly loud. So one thing about using the lav mics, they're quite sensitive to surrounding noise. And then the video I actually want to show you, that's me. So check out my stuff. But this is Mark, and this video only came out yesterday. And I'll just play a bit of it.
Waiting on a vacancy, preparing for the flood.
See, I did put this microphone here as a room mic, but I didn't actually end up using the audio from it in the final take because there was a lot of background noise and I didn't really need it. But so what I actually used for this session was, if you look just here, you can actually see that's where I put one of the lav mics, and the other one is just on his collar up here. So if I play a bit more, there's one just there for the vocal.
I will raise my glass as the wave comes down. Turn to face the world, I will take my bow.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how that audio actually sounds coming out of the Rode Wireless Pro. It doesn't sound like that when you get it off the device. So what I do is go into Logic. Here I've got highlighted this first channel here. This first track is actually, this is the whole audio from the entire session. And if you can kind of see, I've actually labeled all the different takes because I left these transmitters running like the whole few hours. I think it's almost like 3 hours, a very long time. I just had them running the entire time. So I've just put little bars here just to show which song and which take they were. So this is the take we ended up using for that guy. And then we've got, the first one here is labeled guitar. Is it guitar? Here's a guitar. First one here is a guitar. This is the lavalier mic that I put on the guitar. The second one here is, I haven't labeled them. Second one here is actually the vocals. So this is what you hear from the mic.
Every time I close my eyes,
This is just direct.
But I know what it's costing me.
With no processing.
Trading in my history.
Cool. And then below that, I've actually muted these channels, but I've got the left right from my Zoom recorder, which I didn't actually end up using, just because, as you can hear, it was... It's all right. But it just wasn't necessary in the mix for me at the end. And then this was that mic that was a bit closer. I've got the volume really low on this.
Trading in my history. Waiting on a vacancy.
The only problem with that condenser mic that I had really close, the wind on it, it's just so sensitive. So it is really good to bleed in a bit of it, but I didn't. So there was enough bleed into the lav mic of the surrounding noise that I thought I've got enough background noise in this to make it sound nice and live and real. So if I'm just going to play through again, so this is the dry vocal.
But I will raise my glass as the wave comes down.
So it's pretty isolated. You can hear that it's mainly the vocal, which is what you want when you've got the placement of the mics. You want them to be as isolated as possible so you can mix them and blend them in. And then we've got the guitar track, which sounds like this. quite bassy in there. So there's a few things to adjust. So first thing, let's have a look at the vocal. I'm just going to play the vocal take.
But I will raise my glass.
It actually came through surprisingly well. We were in a train tunnel, as you can see in the video. And yeah, so what I usually do, I'll just run you through the plugins and stuff I put on. So just have a listen to this. I'm just going to let it play.
But I will raise my glass as the wave comes down, turn to face the world.
First thing I do is just chuck on a high pass just to cut out any stuff down there. Like there usually isn't anything, but like it's just not necessary. So high pass is on.
I will take my bow,
Just scooping anything here.
give it all I have, till there's nothing left, just a laugh that's full.
That's the first thing I have in the chain, and then after that I've actually got a RX9 De-Esser. Because there were a few sibilants, a few S's coming through quite clearly because it was quite close to his mouth. So
and a heaving chest, let me leave my mark.
you can output the S's only to sound. If you can hear that. There was one sentence he sang that had a few in it, and it was just a little much, so I just put a De-Esser on it. It just... Those little S's you heard, it just ducks them a little bit. Very subtle cleanup thing. And then the big one that I use, you can do this with compression and EQ. I just use this plugin a lot. It's the CLA-Vocals plugin. It's on Waves and it's pretty cheap. I think I paid like $30 for it or something at the time. And it's just got, I set it to this face-to-face dry setting. And then I turn off any of these effects, don't want any of the effects on it. And I just use lower, top, and push. And then using those three, I just start to bring a bit of, it just adds a bit of top end. I use the top to add a bit of top end, as you can sort of see up here. And a bit of like parallel compression. So if you can hear the difference, this is the one that makes the main difference. So I'm going to play this section here of the song.
But I will raise my glass as the wave comes down.
Let's play that again. I'm going to turn it on.
But I will raise my glass as the wave comes down, turn to face the world. I will take my bow,
And off.
give it all I have, till there's nothing left,
Back on.
just a laugh that's full and a heaving chest.
Off.
Let me leave my mark
And then back on.
upon this fading light.
See, it just adds a level of like presence. It's essentially just boosting the top end. And that thing, you could do that. If I was to turn that off and pull up, let's just pull up another EQ. Let's just use like the stock EQ. Let's just hear it again.
Turn to face the world.
So if I grab
I will take my bow,
around, let's go around like,
give it all I have, till there's nothing left,
see around here?
just a laugh that's full and a heaving chest. Let me leave my
So
mark
I might give it a bit of a shelf.
upon this fading light.
This is kind of why I've also got the De-Esser, because I'm putting a lot of energy into that top end to make it sound clear and a bit crisper, because it can sound a bit dull. But then because of that, all the S's are all in that region too, and they're all going to get like really and really come through. So I'm kind of putting a bit back in this end.
Just like paint upon fast receding sky.
So I think these Rode Wireless Pros, like the Lavs, it just needs a little bit of a top end push, just to kind of bring the presence up. So I use that CLA-Vocals plugin, but you could totally dial it in yourself with a bit of compression and then a little bit of EQ as well. So I'm going to turn that guy off. We don't need him anymore. And so if you go back to it, so I've got that CLA-Vocal plugin on. And then after that, I've actually got, what have I got now? I've got a Pro Q. I've got another EQ doing barely anything afterwards, just giving a little bit of a push, 300 hertz and 3000, like just a little, like that's marginal, that's doing next to nothing.
Just because it's late, doesn't mean I'm feeling tired.
I think I wanted to add a little bit more body into the sound, into his voice, so I put like a little notch here. These are just little decisions I've just made pretty quick and just seen what sounds good. And then after that, after you've got that and you've got kind of the quality back, oh, I've actually got a compressor on here too, which is doing, is it doing anything?
'Cause I feel more awake
Oh, it's doing a little bit.
every time I close my eyes.
I've got a bit of compression on there too. There's a few bits when he really
I'll
pushes.
raise my glass as the wave comes down, turn to face the world. I will take my bow, give it all I have.
It's cool. So that's something I'll do is I'll just try and slice off up to 5 dB at the loud bits, just to smooth it over a bit so you can see the needle
So there's nothing left.
chilling around here. Bit of compression, and then the bit that makes it just all come together and sound really nice is just a reverb. So I just use the Valhalla vintage verb. You can use any reverb, you do not need this one. This is just the one that I have and use. And then once I put that on, then we've pretty much got the finished vocal sound.
I'll raise my glass as the wave comes down, turn to face the world. I will take my bow.
Cool. And then when I did the reverb, I dialed it in to make it sound, I wanted it to sound like that train tunnel. I kind of was just trying to visualize the tunnel. I was obviously there all day, so I knew what it looks like. And trying to visualize it and like make sure it sounds like it looks. So as you can see, it's quite a long, tunnel. And then so I added that. Go back to that.
I'll raise my glass as the wave comes down.
It's got a nice ring out as it kind of tails down that hallway. And then the guitar. So that's the vocal pretty much done. And then if we go back to, let's just listen to just the guitar track at that section. Sounds like this. It's a little bit like bassy, but it sounds all right. So the first thing I did was put an EQ on, and I did the same thing. So I scooped out the low that you don't need, and then I've also just dialed back a bit of that low at 100 hertz, which is because it's a very deep sound. So I've kind of turned the bass down a bit. So if you hear it, that's without. Not heaps, actually. There's a bit of top end of the guitar in the vocal mic that bleeds through some of the high. So having some of the low is actually quite nice on the guitar. And then this is a bit of a trick that I do. Some people won't like this, but in Logic Pro, there's a plugin called Stereo Spread, and it does this perceived stereo width. And so if you have a listen to this, I'll play the guitar. If I turn it on, you'll have to wear headphones to hear this properly. Turn it off. And turn it on. So what it kind of does is it kind of moves the guitar to the sides. It gives this stereo effect, which is a bit strange, but it's quite nice because you can leave the vocal right in the middle and it gives the vocal a bit of space. This only really works if you've got like 2 elements or a couple of elements. So you've got the vocal and the guitar, and that stereo spread just makes the guitar sound like it's kind of in stereo, been recorded in stereo. Some people won't like it, but I think it just makes it sound a bit more full and like you're in the room with your own ears, especially when you're recording something with 2 mono signals. You're not getting... I'd love to have another lavalier put somewhere and get like a more natural stereo sound, but this is a really good way to get that. So if you just have a listen, I'll just show you what else I've done quickly. I've also got Pro Q on there. Oh wow, I've done some stuff. So I've really probably a bit of a messy job on this, but let's have a listen without this EQ. Oh, okay. I then went in and I scooped 100 more on this EQ, and then I gave the top end a big push, just because those lavs, they need a bit of a push. And so that, let's hear it without those 3 plugins. Guitar sounds like this. And then I'll put them on. So just balancing that sound out so it sounds a bit more like a natural guitar. And then the last thing is the reverb. So let's put them all on. I did the Valhalla reverb again on the guitar and kind of similar settings. These are my settings. If you want to copy them, go for it. And I'll just play the guitar for a second. And then turn that spread off. This one, turn this one off. Cool. So that's the guitar track. And yeah, let's listen to it with the vocal track now. So I'm going to put the vocal track back on. Play from here.
Preparing for the flood.
So you get that presence from the vocal.
But I will raise my glass as the wave comes down. Turn to face the world.
Just vocal.
I will take my bow.
Just the guitar.
Hey, till there's nothing left. Just a laugh that's full and a heaving chest. Let me leave my mark upon this fading light.
And have a listen how it sounds when I turn off this spread. So if I just turn this off and we go full kind of mono.
Till there's nothing left.
Turn it off.
Just a laugh that's full and a heaving chest. Let me leave my mark.
Some people might prefer it like that. Sometimes I will send both mixes. I'll send like a stereoed kind of one like that and a straight one, because some people just think that sounds more like it looks. But I quite like it. Listen to this. I'll turn it back on. So it's off. It's off for now.
On this fading light.
I'll turn it back on. Ready? Okay, now.
Just like pain upon the fast receding sky.
Anyway, I think that's really nice. Then I pretty much just use like my Ozone mastering assistant to just get the level right. Sometimes it does a little bit of like, sometimes I use this Ozone plugin, but you can just use the Logic built-in mastering thing, but it just does some stuff. It did a bit of like a mastery EQ. Not that important. It's more just getting your volume at a pretty good level, so it's going to sync nice with the video. And then the final result, you end up with, yeah, something like this. One thing I always do is I will always try and get the visual back up and play your mix and watch the video if you can sync it up, because sometimes you'll do a mix and as soon as the audio is paired back with the video, it just doesn't feel right. You kind of need to watch it. So I kind of had a look at some shots from the session and it just looked like it felt like it fits. That's kind of like my final test for this. So
'cause I feel more awake
it comes out really nice.
every time I close my eyes. But I know what it's costing me, trading in my history.
That's pretty much it. So I'll just skip to the credits. So we've got, just so you can see, we've got me here, recorded and mixed, and then Ben Hassick did the cinematography. So if you want to check him out, he's an amazing cinematographer. That's why this looks so cool. And Mark is an amazing artist. So check out Mark Wilkinson, Australian artist. Yeah, this literally came out yesterday. So go give this video some love. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If anyone has any other questions, please let me know in the comments. That is, for that mix, that is all I did. I just used the two lavs. Even though I had these other mics, it's good to get as many mics in the room as you can, because sometimes it's nice to bleed in a bit of the other sound. And then, yeah, these are all the different takes, and that's pretty much it from the session. Also, doing it this way, having the whole session this long, it just means that roughly once I've done the mix for this song, it's going to be roughly the same going across the different songs. I've done a few little bits. I'll open up the automation, and if one take was a bit louder on the guitar, the way he played, I'll do my little automations on each track. But besides that, all the plugins and the edits are pretty much the same. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Yeah, I hope this helps. Sometimes with these Rode Wireless Pros, you just need to do a little bit of a little bit of work to give them a little bit of a lift, just to make it sound good. If you have any questions, pop them below. If you haven't seen that Rode Wireless Pro video, go check it out. I'll put the link here and in the description. And yeah, feel free to check out other stuff on my channel. I'm just doing a bunch of stuff. If you have questions, let me know. I'd like to make videos on all sorts of stuff. Have a great weekend. Thanks, guys.